So the reason again why we're doing this is because if you want to resolve those common challenges like PE, ED, and DE, for example, then it's absolutely essential to learn to work with your sexual energy. And if you're a man who doesn't really have a challenge with those things, but you're here because you want to learn more about tantric and sacred practices and how to go deeper in sex and intimacy, connect deeper with your partner, then this is also an important part. And why would that be? So, the way the mainstream has it is that the sex energy, or the way nature actually in a way has it, if we look at biological programming in the DNA back from beginning of time when we came here to populate the planet, you were programmed to a certain extent to ejaculate quickly because then you would impregnate more women. So that is part of the pattern. But then that pattern is reinforced by habitual masturbation with ejaculation, and heavily reinforced if you do it with porn. And if you then focus on having sex where you're always working towards orgasm as a goal, you continue to program yourself to stay in this cycle that is this like this vicious cycle where as a man your sexual energy builds, and you'll notice when it builds and you get to a point where it starts getting maybe a little bit uncomfortable. For some men, you start feeling a bit kind of agitated by feeling the build of sexual energy. And what most men do then is they reach for masturbation and release, or, masturbation with porn and release to feel, relief from that pent up energy. And there you're back again in the same circuit. So for most men, that's the circuit they stay within for their whole life. And they never know the sexual energy beyond that pattern of build, release, build and empty, build and empty, build and empty. And if you continue like that over and over again over the years, you will deplete your sexual energy. For some, that will happen. They will notice that sooner than others. But even if you're a man who don't really think you notice any negative effects of ejaculation, I encourage you to try this, because you might find out that you will double your energy levels by learning how to work with your sexual energy. So when you're not depleting your sexual energy through habitual ejaculation, but you're learning how to work with the energy, what happens is that you learn to hold larger and larger amounts of sexual arousal in your body more comfortably without feeling that need of kind of, needing to release and explode in ejaculation. So you will be more at ease when the energy rises in your body, which is natural that it's higher at certain times. And you will empower yourself with this sexual energy. You will start to notice that you're getting more energy on a daily basis. You might notice that you're getting more mental clarity, even more creativity and willpower. So I have men that have massively increased their business success by learning how to cultivate sex energy. So that's something to consider. It's not just about sex. Building and cultivating your sex energy is something that can benefit your general health and well-being, regardless of if you are planning to have sex with anyone at all, you know. But of course, when it comes to being a lover of a woman and making love, if you are trapped in that pattern of only being able to keep your energy until it gets to a certain level, and then you feel the urge to ejaculate and you always do that, then you're never going to know what's beyond that pattern. So this is where something very, very amazing happens when you pass that threshold and you learn how to preserve your semen and choose when to ejaculate, selectively choose when to ejaculate. And in between those times, you cultivate energy, you build the energy, and you learn how to empower yourself with this energy. So this will lead you to the ability of making love for as long as you want. It takes away that pressure, that feeling of like, my God, I can't handle this anymore, I have to ejaculate kind of feeling. And that urge to go to porn to kind of do something with that sexual frustration. That will diminish when you learn how to work with your energy in this way. And as a lover who knows how to preserve his semen and make love for as long as he wants, you are able to tap into the feminine arousal wave, which is very different to the man's arousal pattern. And all women are naturally multi-orgasmic and able to go higher and higher and higher and higher indefinitely in their sexual opening and arousal. But honestly, most women probably don't get to experience that ever, because they are with men who are stuck in this pattern. So many reasons to explore this for yourself and for your lovers. So yeah, that's right, John. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Everything is connected, very much so. And yeah, look, a lot of men in our world are kind of living like this, like slaves to the sexual energy, you know, not being able to choose, but feeling like your sexual energy takes you over and overwhelms you. So if you struggle with mastering your ejaculations and you tend to ejaculate soon, then you know what I'm talking about, that feeling of like it kind of takes you over, it overwhelms you. So let me have a look at these questions that I got now. So yes, so someone asked how to build the ability to hold larger amounts of sexual energy in the body. So that's what's required in order to be able to last as long as you want. So let's maybe start there. Somebody else has asked about tantric practices, and that will tie in with this. Yeah. So we will start very, very simply. And just to let you know, I'm not someone for advanced theoretical tantric, you know, explanations, because that tends to take us into the head, and it can be much more practical and simple than that, and I much prefer that. So somewhere to start, where can you start with this? Yeah, where can you begin with this? So we have been working towards this since we started this group. So if you, every live that I've been doing from last Monday, so that's 2 weeks now, 10 days, this is the 10th video, everything I've been talking about here has been the foundations for how you can prepare yourself for this. So we have the mindset, we have the meditation, we have the embodiment, we have the touch. So for example, if you want to learn how to build your capacity to hold sexual energy, and you want to learn to master your ejaculations, but you are, like most men, a bit rigid in your body, and have suppressed emotions, you know, suppressing your energy and kind of keeping it together, which is what a lot of us have been, you know, conditioned to do. That's how we live our lives. If you want to go straight into building your energy, you might encounter some difficulties there. So this is the reason why I'm bringing these other practices here. This is the reason why I'm bringing in the importance of connecting with your body and having the intention always to open up your energy channels, to experience yourself as space, to open up the energy blocks in the body, and to begin to practice free movement, spontaneous free movement that's guided from within. Because this is how we start to open up the body, so that the body will be ready to build energy and to channel energy. Because if you're stiff and rigid, it's not going to work. Okay? So there's a reason why we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with the preparation, and Friday I'll bring a bit of sexual practices to you. So I recommend you don't skip those other days, because that work is the preparation that's going to make this possible for you. So somebody was asking, yes, John was asking about the nonlinear movement, and I'll touch on that now as well. So what I mean with that is that you are not stuck in repeating one movement pattern, like, for instance, a set of exercises that you learned at the gym, for instance, you know, that's kind of a fixed routine of what you do that's always the same. So it's the opposite to that, what I mean with non-linear. There can still be lines, there can still be movements that you do that are linear, but you're not stuck in the same one. You're continuously finding new forms, continuously finding new ways of moving. So you're not stuck in any pattern. It's about breaking up the patterns. It's about freeing ourselves from the patterns. It's pattern interrupt. A lot of what we're doing here is pattern interrupt, because like with everything we do, we have programmed ourselves in a certain way in regards to sexuality. And to break that pattern, we need to start to approach it from different angles. Okay, so that's the my referring to non-linear movement the other day. And so what can you do to start this for yourself? So yes, I recommend you start to connect daily with your own body and with your breath, and allow yourself to breathe really, really deeply into the body, into the belly. Start to practice a lot of belly breathing whenever you can remember. Connect with your belly breath. And have the intention. Great. I'm glad, John. So to have the intention to keep opening the body. The intention is so important here. It's with our intention that we start to actually even moving the energy. So to have the intention, of course it's okay to do in front of a mirror. Yeah. So have the intention to open the body. You can feel and experience yourself as the space between the atoms. In the moment you remember that we are space, we are not actually dense, we are space, that something shifts and you can start to feel yourself as lighter and more fluid and more open. And like this, you can begin to allow the energy to move in your body. And you can play with this through breath and free movement, through touch, through massaging yourself, touching yourself in the shower. And the other really important thing is to notice if you have suppressed emotions. Because if you're in the habit of suppressing emotions, what will happen when you start to cultivate your sexual energy is very likely that those suppressed emotions will become heightened. Yeah, so if you're suppressing anger, you can actually get angry from starting these sexual practices. So that's why, again, it's super important to keep opening and releasing whatever has been held back inside. So if you're feeling emotions, find a way to express them through breath and movement, through crying, through beating a pillow, through stomping, through jumping around and expressing through your body, allowing yourself to acknowledge your feelings, welcome the feelings. If you're trying to suppress them and push them away and going, oh no, I'm just going to feel peaceful, it doesn't actually work like that. So in the process of approaching this, it's so important to acknowledge your feelings, welcome them, and allow them to be there. Allow yourself to feel them and allow the feelings to have a natural way of expressing through your body. And you can help that along through allowing tears, through breathing deeply, through allowing sounds, sighs, noises, movements. Play with it. Okay, and then you can start to bring this into a sacred sexual practice for yourself, where you are approaching your self-pleasure as a sacred ritual and as a meditation, not as a release and trying to get rid of tension, not as an avoidance or escape through porn, but as a practice that is about you, about getting to know yourself, about empowering yourself and growing and knowing yourself better. So if you're approaching your self-practice, your self-pleasure practice, your masturbation from that place of making it into a ritual that you take the time to do in a way where you are not distracted or thinking about other things, and really focusing that time on yourself. And you can make it as a very special time, at home. If you got space to put on music, create a beautiful space. And men, very often, maybe you have not been doing that so much for yourself. So that's a beautiful thing to do, to create a nice space for yourself, create a beautiful environment. And also, if you don't have a lot of time, you can use even just a few minutes time when you're in the shower, or maybe before going to sleep, or maybe when you're waking up, or maybe it's a little bit of a break in the daytime. To approach your self-pleasure practice as a way of connecting with yourself and running the sexual energy, building the sexual energy and playing with it. So touching your body, make a point of touching, not just doing it the way you might have normally done it. You know, you have a way of masturbating as well, I'm sure, a way you normally do it, you know, 1 or 2 ways, something like that. So try and break that up as well and approach it in different ways of including more parts of the body. So not just genitals, but also belly, giving yourself a massage, really connecting with your own body and building that energy. So you build it, but don't release it. Don't go all the way to ejaculation, but stop before. So if you're just starting with this, it's a good idea to stop at 60% arousal. Because if you go further to 80%, you're very likely to want to tip over the edge. So just about 60%, and then leave it. Breathe, make sounds, move. Allow yourself to spread that energy in the body, to feel that arousal in your whole body. So not, you know, the habitual pattern is that it builds up in your groin and the lower parts of the body, and it stays there. So you want to emphasize allowing that energy to spread into your whole body, allowing the energy to rise up into the body. And you can help that along through breath and movement. And you can bring that aroused energy into your day. And I'm sure you will walk down the street with that amazing energy around you that people will feel, regardless of if they're aware of it or not, they will pick up on it. You will have a radiance, as opposed to if you have masturbated with porn and ejaculated, you will have a different energy. You will have more of a kind of collapsed energy, which is very often what men have, you know, you have equated your pleasure and your release to that feeling of relaxation, which is kind of very much an exhaustion in a way, like you've depleted yourself. And you might feel lack of energy afterwards, like you just want to kind of sleep or not so inspired to, you know, get on with life and create and have fun. So what you're doing here is the opposite. You're building the energy through touching yourself. And yeah, I'll get into that in a minute. So yeah, through touching yourself and with the emphasis on being present with yourself, going slow, like really slow. And you can also remember to activate your hands, like we done in the Thursday lives, activating your hands. So when you're touching yourself, you're actually touching yourself from a place of really bringing conscious presence and love through your hands as you're giving to yourself. So this is a daily practice. If you want, you can do it more than once per day, but it's probably easier if you only do it for a few minutes, because if you do it for longer, it's more tempting to tip over and want to ejaculate. So the point is in building the energy, bringing it into the whole body, relaxing, being present, and don't ejaculate. And then it comes to the point where, let me see. Yeah, so somebody's asked how to reach full body orgasm without touching and daily ecstasy practice. So this is kind of advanced in a way, but definitely very possible. And to be able to reach full body orgasm without touching yourself, and even with touching yourself, it's totally linked to how open you are in your body. So everything we're doing here, it's geared towards opening your body to become alive, so that every cell of your body is so alive that it becomes orgasmic in itself, so that you can start to relate to your life from that place of pleasure and pleasurable sensation in so many different ways. So it's not just through masturbation, it's not just through sex, but it's through just walking around naked at home, or having a shower, or feeling the wind on your skin. So yes, definitely, John, does touching the penis with activated hands help with numbness? For sure. Yeah. And then I would focus on really maybe just holding in the beginning, and very often come back to just holding and being still. We've been so conditioned to movement, to friction-based sex. And the more friction-based sex you do, especially hard and fast, is going to numb you down. It's going to numb you down and actually close your ability to be multi-orgasmic. So we're doing the opposite here. The pattern interrupt is to slow down, open the body, allow yourself to become orgasmic in everything that you do. Start to find ways to connect with life where you feel and experience all the subtle sensations, all the subtle pleasures, because in reality, we have the potential to be fully orgasmic in every moment of our lives. If we look at babies, for instance, the way they are like so alive and so in touch with the sensations, like every moment is like a complete blast of energy for them. We also have that ability, but for most of us, we've lost it through conditioning. So this is the pathway back to opening up the channels to sensitivity and pleasure. And you might wonder how often to ejaculate. So that varies. I touched on that last week too. That varies depending on your age and your general health. So you got to follow your own feeling a bit there and make a decision for yourself. It really helps to make a choice to decide when you're going to ejaculate and not. If you are a 20-year-old guy, maybe once a week is good, especially if you're building the energy on the days during the week without ejaculating. And if you're a 40-year-old man, once every 2 weeks might be enough. If you're 60, it's best not to ejaculate anymore, or very rarely so, because you want to keep that energy so that you can keep having strong erections and plenty of energy for life and love. So building the sexual energy is building your ability to hold more arousal. So that will help you if you've struggled with premature and early ejaculation. And if you're someone who has struggled with getting erections, it will help build your energy and strengthen your erections and bring you in touch with your erotic power.